Brothers and sisters, what's popping? What is popping? So, not really late on the draw. I was gonna do it at the end of March. Did some things happen, and these last few days I wasn't feeling up to it. So, I waited till I got right. Uh, the Passover it's not done yet. It won't be completely done until this Tuesday. But the Passover happened this week that just went through. It's supposed to be Easter Sunday. Um, the thing is, if that's the case, and the Christ rose on Sunday, that can only mean one thing, people. Yeah, that's right. That he wasn't killed on a weekend. He was killed in the middle of the week. Right. Just basic sense. So he wasn't killed on a Saturday and then rose on a Sunday. That's not 3 days. So whatever you want to say, believe that. Whatever you want to believe that. I mean, more or less. Now we're going to pick up literally where we left off, or just right around the same area. And we're going to pick off at verse 34 of chapter 27 of the Genesis. Because when we left off, we were talking about the last bull. We were talking about Esau. And we were talking about how there are certain things about him that the latter generations do not exhibit. And like we have to look at it from a holistic point of view. Abraham was not anybody's servant. Esau was not anybody's servant. But the sheep that is from the loins of Esau becomes a servant. Remember that. And this one is called a father's blessing because we have to look at the peculiar nature of the blessing that he gave not to only Jacob or Yaakov, but he gave to Esau. And Esau was 40 years old, verse 34, chapter 27, Genesis. And he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beach, the Kittite, and Besemath, daughter of Helon, the Kittite, or Hivite, depending on which translation you're reading. And they were provoking to Esau and Rebekah. And it came to pass, verse 1 of that was chapter 26. This is verse 1 of chapter 27. There we go. And it came to pass, after Esau was old, that his eyes were dimmed so that he could not see. And I need y'all to remember, this is the Most High God giving Moses the rundown as to how they got from one spot and junction to the other. And he called Esau, his elder son, and said to him, my son. And he said, behold, I am here. And he said, behold, I am grown old. Now, again, for people who can't read and can't understand that, it's saying, when he said, behold, I am here, that's Esau saying he's here. Okay? And when he said, behold, I am grown old, that is Esau saying that. The fact that I have to disseminate that, it just makes me scratch my head. But just in case anybody was lost on that, there we are. Behold, I am grown old, and know not the day of my death. Now then, take thy weapons, both thy quiver and thy bow, and go into the plain, and get me venison. Listen. And make me meats as I like them, and bring them to me before I die. And Rebekah heard Esau speaking to Esau his son. And Esau went to the plain to procure venison for his father. And Rebekah said to Jacob, her younger son, behold, I have heard thy father speaking to Esau thy brother, saying, bring me venison, and prepare me meats, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Lord before I die. Now then, my son, hearken to me as I command thee, and go to the cattle, and take for me thence 2 kids, tender and good, and I will make the meats for thy father as he likes. And thou shalt bring them into thy father, and he shall eat, that thy father may bless thee before he dies. And Jacob said to his mother Rebekah, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. Peradventure my father may feel me, and I shall be before him as one ill-mentioned, and I shall bring upon me a curse and not a blessing. And his mother said to him, On me be thy curse, son. Only hearken to my voice, and go and bring them me. So he went and took and brought them to his mother. And his mother made meats as his father liked them. Now, a lot of people are like, why did he get 2 kids and not 2 lambs? Because venison has a powerful gamey taste for people who've never had it. You have to cook venison a certain way in order to tame the gamey taste in it. Same thing with goat. Goat has a super gamey taste. So she knows how to take the gaminess of the goat and replicate it to that liking of venison. And Rebekah, having taken the fine raiment of her elder son Esau, which was with her in the house, put it on Jacob, her younger son, and she put on his arms the skin of the kids, and on the bare parts of his neck. And she gave the meats and the loaves which she had prepared into the hands of Jacob, her son. Stop right there for a moment. Now, we've all seen hairy-ass people, hairy-ass black people. I've never seen a hairy-ass nigga that had hair on his arms or his neck that was like his beard. Never seen it. It's always silky, smooth finer hairs. So if people are wondering why she could use the goat hairs to do that, it's because goat hairs are fine. Well, depending on the type of goat, but I'm sure she made it work. Again, what sort of adhesive did she use to do that? Doesn't say. But we know she didn't just, right. Does that make sense? His father's eyes are dimmed, but that means his other 4 senses are pretty darn good. And we're going to witness that here in a second. However, it's just the idea that she's wise enough to know how to do what she was going to do. That's why she told him to get the 2 kids in the first place, the 2 baby goats in the first place, because she knew what she was going to do from rip. And he brought them to his father, verse 18, chapter 27, and said, Father. And he said, Behold, I am here. Who art thou, son? And Jacob said to his father, I, Esau, thy firstborn, have done as thou toldest me. Rise, sit, and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Esau said to his son, What is this which thou hast quickly found? And he said, That which the Lord thy God presented before me. Now he didn't say it was venison. He didn't say he went out and hunted it. He literally said what it was, what was presented before him. So this was already something that he could go do all by himself. He never said what it was. Is that being dishonest? You could say that, but he's following his mother's command right now. Mind the fact, his brother married 2 chicks who his mother and father both find provoking, to say the least. And Esau said to Jacob, Draw nigh to me, and I will fill thee. And I will fill thee, son, if thou art my son Esau or not. And Jacob drew nigh to his father Esau, and he felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he knew him not, for his hands were as the hands of his brother, hairy. And he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring hither, and I will eat of thy venison, son, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he ate. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And Esau his father said to him, Draw nigh to me, and kiss me, son. And he drew nigh and kissed him, and smelled the smell of his garments, and blessed him, and said, Behold, the smell of my son is as the smell of an abundant field, which the Lord has blessed. And may God give thee of the dew of heaven, and of the fatness of the earth, and abundance of corn and wine. And let nations serve thee, and princes bow down to thee. And be thou Lord of thy brother, and the sons of thy father, and the sons of thy father shall do thee reverence. Accursed is he that curses thee, and blessed is he that blesses thee. And it came to pass, after Esau had ceased blessing his son Jacob, it even came to pass, just when Jacob had gone out from the presence of Esau his father, that Esau, his brother, came in from his hunting. Stop right there. Several really important things that happened. Number one, the blessing. So the dew of heaven, the fatness of the earth, and abundance of corn and wine. Now, he's not telling him he's going to be some kind of warrior or nothing. Right. That's not what he said. He's pretty much like, everything that the earth has to offer in so many ways is what I want you to have. You need dew, right, to grow. Dew, water, whatever you want to say. You need that for your plants and your vegetation to grow, to be proper. Like, there's things that you need, right? The fatness of the earth, right? So that's all things that are on the earth. It's all things that are on the earth. And let nations serve thee, and princes bow down to thee. And be thou Lord of thy brother, and the sons of thy father shall do thee reverence. Accursed is he that curses thee, and blessed is he that blesses thee. Now, I can only imagine that he learned that from his father, Abraham, who learned that from, right, the Most High, through his vestiges of the Christ and any other angels that came to see him while he lived. But we know for a fact he saw the Christ, because the man that came with the other two men that were actually the angels, right, that was the Christ. If God told, he's going to tell Moses at some point when we get there, no man shall see my face and yet live. Right. I'm guessing that's so that way people can't say what he looks like. Base level. Could be something else. It could be some kind of divine organs. But the most base level is that, so that way you can't make an image of him. Now, where we at? Esau just popped in, right? Let my father arise, he says, and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Esau, his father, said to him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy firstborn son, Esau. And Esau was amazed with very great amazement and said, Who then that has procured venison for me and brought it to me? And I have eaten all before thou camest, and I have blessed him, and he shall be blessed. And it came to pass, when Esau heard the words of his father Esau, he cried out with a great and very bitter cry, and said, Bless, I pray thee me also, father. And he said to him, thy brother has come with subtlety and taken thy blessing. And he said, rightly was his name called Jacob, for lo, this second time he supplanted me. He has both taken my birthright and now has taken my blessing. And Esau said to his father, Hast thou not left a blessing for me, father? And Esau answered and said to Esau, If I have made him thy lord, and have made all his brethren his servants, and have strengthened him with corn and wine, what then shall I do for thee, son? And Esau said to his father, Hast thou only one blessing, father? Bless, I pray thee, me also, father. And Esau being troubled, Esau cried aloud and wept. Now, again, y'all, these are grown ass men. Esau was 40. Okay? 40 years old. Their father at this point, I want to say he's 60 years old when they were born. So he's 100 right now. Right on? So, because Esau lived to be 180, if I'm not mistaken. 180. But he's saying he's old now. Now, mind you, this dude lived 80 more years with bad eyes. Right? That's not the worst thing I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, just imagine. So, he can't really see back then. You know, it could be cataracts. It could be anything. The idea that his sense, though, remember, he was like, the voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. Now, mind you guys, Jacob worked in the field. So him having smooth skin and not having like a hairy ass neck and a hairy ass chest and shit like that has nothing to do with the actual roughness of his hands. Right. His hands still had to be fairly rough. So when his father felt his palms, right, that's how it should feel. But once he touched right here, where some people do be having that hair at, he was then convinced, right? And then when his mother put that coat on him, his brother's coat, that had his natural body scent on it. So when his father smelled it, he was convinced, no matter what this dude sounds like right now, this has to be Esau. Now, maybe he was just going along with it. One can only imagine. But it tells us Esau was amazed with very great amazement. So that took him for a loop. He's like, oh man, I done gave this nigga's blessing away. But at least he kept it a buck. Now, let us keep reading. And Esau, verse 39 of chapter 27, Esau, his father, answered and said to him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be of the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven, and of the dew of heaven from above. Thou shalt live by the sword, and shalt serve thy brother. And there shall be a time when thou shalt break and loosen his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau was angry with Jacob because of the blessing with which his father blessed him. And Esau said in his mind, Let the days of my father's mourning draw nigh, that I may slay my brother Jacob. And the words of Esau, her elder son, were reported to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, Behold, Esau thy brother threatens thee to kill thee. Now then, my son, hear my voice, and rise and depart quickly into Mesopotamia, to Laban my brother, and to Haran, and dwell with him certain days, until thy brother's anger and rage depart from thee. And he shall forget what thou hast done to him. And I will send and fetch thee since, lest at any time I should be bereaved of you both in one day. Because she's saying, you just might kill him too. Right. I might lose both of my sons in one day. Right. Because she knows you're not just gonna let this nigga kill him. Right. See what I'm saying? He's not just gonna just die. But the idea that if you stay there, you're gonna create a problem. Your presence is gonna create a problem. So you might as well just leave and just get ahead while you can. Now it took 14 years to get the sister. 21 years, I want to say that nigga was with LeBron. He was with LeBron for a minute. We'll find out here in a second, because I know he had to work 7 years for the one sister, 7 years for the second. I want to say he stayed for another 7 after that. Anyway. No, Esau didn't speak it out loud. Again, this is the Most High God giving the rundown of the situation. Because he's outside of space and time, he can give nuance to peculiar details like that. Like how Esau said to himself, I'm going to kill this nigga pretty much. But mind you, he said it to himself. Again, Esau said in his mind. So what kind of magic or sorcery was this servant using to know? Now, maybe it was just his physical demeanor, but that's not what it said. It says like this. And the words of Esau, her elder son, were reported to Rebekah. No. So this nigga's thoughts were reported. Not right. The words he said in his mind were reported. Again, people can't even understand when they're, oh, that's allegory, Meech. For what, nigga? For what? How is that allegory? Again, the dishonesty that people operate with it is so shameful and so pathetic. It's crazy. It's trash. It's garbage. But I can't be mad at them. I can't be. How can I get upset with somebody who does a thing a certain way? And let me just put this into perspective. These guys are twins. They are dizygotic, heterozygote twins. So they're literally two different people. Like literally. So when the mother got pregnant, two different sperm cells penetrated into the egg. Within the egg, they separated, okay? They didn't conjoin and separate. They were separate from the very freaking jump. So these are two different genetic people. And I'm saying, I'm not saying that there's no darkness in the people, because even Noah himself had 3 sons and only one was likened to him like a white bull. My thing is that we don't know who the mother of Sem, Ham, Japheth were. So I typically attribute those negative traits to her. Just like I attribute the negative traits of Cain to one Eve or Isha. I don't attribute that to Adam or Ish. I don't do that because he never ate that fruit all by himself. The woman was acting on a desire, I guess, that was within the genomic structure of the man. One could argue that even though she's a clone, perfect clone, that she had some sort of ability. I don't want to say she had complete free will, but the ability to think for herself, for sure. That being said, take note on how he tells his son Esau, and thou shalt live by the sword. Now, what that means, to this day, it's people who really live by the sword, like people who live through violence. It's hard to tell who's here with us and who's not. Some of the descriptive things about certain people are so similar that you have to remember that. The Ishmaelites being wild men, their hands against all men and all men against them, and a man living by the sword are not the same. However, when we get to this part where we read that Esau is going to marry an Ishmaelite, the distinction between the two things are even more difficult. So the more people marry in, the more crossbreeding there is, the more difficult it is to tell what the blessings are for certain people versus what their curses are. Is a person a stranger within, high up, or have they just done right and God is blessing them? Right. That being said, let's keep going. And Rebekah said, verse 46, and Rebekah said to Esau, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of the sons of Chet. If Jacob shall take a wife of the daughters of this land, wherefore should I live? Now that's an indication that, you know how like people have like different cultures? Now this is back in the day, y'all. All of people, oh, this is thousands and thousands, for sure. But even back then, the same kind of stuff that people do now, they were doing. You know how people be like, I can't stand my mother-in-law, or I can't stand my father-in-law? Right. They can't live with me. They can't live with us. You know, this is our new family. This is da-da-da-da-da-da. Right. It's the same concept. Right. She's like, right. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm virtually not even welcome in my own home. And Esau, having called for Jacob, blessed him and charged him, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of the Canaanites. Rise and depart quickly into Mesopotamia, to the house of Bethuel, the father of thy mother, and take to thyself thence a wife of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. And may my God bless thee, and increase thee, and multiply thee, and thou shalt become gatherings of nations. And may he give thee the blessing of my father Abraham, even to thee and to thy seed after thee, to inherit the land of thy sojourning, which God gave to Abraham. So Esau sent away Jacob, and he went into Mesopotamia to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Now stop right there. Jacob and Esau's mother is what? Syria. The mother of all the sons of Jacob are what? That's right, Syrians. Why do you think God tells them not to mate with the Syrians? Because you're not going to be Israelites, you're going to be Syrians. True Syrians from back in the day probably didn't look at the Israelites like how people look at them. Follow my point. If somebody comes from you, they done stole your swag, your drip, all that. Are you not going to say that's you? You're going to be like, that's you, or they're copying me, right? Okay, so God had to remove that connection. It's no different than when he has to make the distinguishment between the Egyptians and the children of Israel. To show that, no, there's a difference between y'all. Not just in the namesake, but how I feel about you. There's a difference. Just because Egypt was the strongest and mightiest nation at that time, God had to show them my people are still my people. Now, where we at? So Esau sent away Jacob, and he went into Mesopotamia to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. And Esau saw that Esau blessed Jacob and sent him away to Mesopotamia of Syria, as he blessed him, to take himself a wife thence, and that he charged him, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of the Canaanites. And Jacob hearkened to his father and his mother, and went to Mesopotamia of Syria. And Esau, also having seen that the daughters of Canaan were evil before his father, Esau went to Ismael, and took Maleth, the daughter of Ismael, the son of Abram, the sister of Nabiath, a wife in addition to his other wives. So now he's got 3 wives. Now let's just, for all the sake of argument, people don't look at it like this. These dudes are both princes, both of them. Their father is essentially a king. He's the son of a king. He is the king now, right? Or he's a king in his own rights. Does that make sense? As was Abraham. Because remember, the sons of Ket told him, you are a king in our eyes, in our midst. Right, blessed by the Lord. So you can't remove, again, all the things that happened up until this point, you can't remove from your mind. You have to sift and pick out, like, okay, this matches with this matches with this. Literally, we're connecting dots at all times. Now, why I know what I'm about to say is controversial, follow this. The sons of Ket are ultimately sons of who? That's right, Ham or Kam or Kaf. Why is that important? Because the curse of Ham says what to people? It believes that they're what? They're black, right? So for the sake of argument, just for the sake of argument, factual speaking, if you believe that, that dude has 2 black wives for sure. So even if Esau was white looking, his children from them wouldn't have been. Let's keep going. People love to use that, and we're about to be pulling up on that in the next handful of chapters. That example when, oh man, when Joseph is among the Egyptians and his brothers can't discern him from the Egyptians. Now, if the Egyptians, yes, the Egyptians are 2 sons of Kam through Mizraim, right? That means what? That's right, they're black. So that means that, and just for the sake of argument, Ishmael's mother, right, Agar or Hagar, went and got him a wife who was Egyptian. So even if you're saying Abraham was not a black man, which he was, even if you're saying he wasn't, right, his son is at least half black, his firstborn. Factuals. Uh-oh. It's getting deep now. But if the people who went couldn't discern their brother from the Egyptians amongst them, and we're going to assume that there's varying skin tones of these people, they still couldn't tell him apart. 5 o'clock shadow and all. Nigga might have had the bumpy gump Nestle Crunch Bar face. Still couldn't tell him apart from all them niggas. So that tells you that the phenotype of the people, the physical appearance, was not that different one from the other. Nation from nation. Specific nations at that. Let's keep going. So if the 3 wives of Esau are black, by our understanding, Salute, family. If the 3 wives of Esau are black from our understanding, none of his children from these people are not black looking. They have to be. My point being this. People say that Esau is the white man. Now we're going to keep reading. We may or may not get to it. I don't want to get too far into it because I want to make a video called The Face of God. And I want to express how if Esau is indeed the white man, that means that God is white. Because guess what? When after Jacob wrestles with the Christ, and the Christ touches his hip and it goes out of socket, and his hip is messed up for the rest of his life, who does he see following that and get terrified of? Remember, he sent the eldest sons first. I'm gonna say the ones he was most willing to lose, he put up to the front. And the ones he was least willing to lose or least able to fend for themselves, he kept with him. Right. When he saw his brother, he tells his brother, seeing him is like seeing God himself. Again, if I'm tripping, then I'm all the way wrong. But I'm saying if all we're going is based on what's written, what is written is an indicator that these niggas are tripping. If Esau's the white man, God is white. That simple. And they don't want to hear that that's the truth. They can't take, again, the two things cannot coexist. You can be two different manners of people. We've all met paternal twins, meaning they're not maternal, meaning maternal twins are homozygotic and monozygotes, right on? Meaning they share one single zygote and they're exactly the same. They only split during the pregnancy. Right. They're not two different, completely different sperm cells that create their own home within the egg. That's not what it is. Right. And again, if we're just talking base level understanding, let's speak on the fact that this man, Esau, is married to 3 for sure black women. That's a fact. So he can't, even if you're trying to say that he was born white, his children can't be white. Because his children have been mating with the same people for forever. Right. So nonsense is what I'm calling BS. Now let's keep reading. This is verse 10 of chapter 28. And Jacob went forth from the well of the oath and departed into Haran. And it came to a certain place and slept there, for the sun had gone down. And he took one of the stones of the place and put it at his head and laid down to sleep in that place and dreamed. And behold, a ladder fixed on the earth, whose top reached to heaven, and the angels of God ascended and descended on it. And the Lord stood upon it and said, I am the God of thy father Abraham and the God of Isaac. Fear not, the land on which thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed will be as the sand of the earth, and shall be spread abroad to the sea, and the south, and the north, and to the east. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the tribes of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with thee to preserve thee continually in all the way wherein thou shalt go. And I will bring thee back to this land, for I will not desert thee until I have done all that I have said to thee. Now, I want to get into a nuanced part of that thought that I just had come to my mind, but I'm going to just get into the real basic nitty grit real quick. Number 1, takes a stone, lays down on it, goes to sleep, wakes up in the middle of the night. What they perceive to be a ladder. There are multiple kinds of ladders. But he said one that was affixed to the earth, that went up to heaven. Angels are going up and down at this joint, right? Now, mind people, there's no 5G back then. There are no cell phone towers. There are no frequencies that are being emitted on a regular basis that tell the heavens what level of advancement man has made. Right. The further along we have gotten and the more that man has learned, right, the less the heavens have revealed themselves. So there, again, all the frequencies and stuff that we deal with now were not back then. Right. There was no, even if they had a crystal ball, the crystal balls that they had were complete. What they were doing, we could argue that it's the same concept. You could argue that what you call the internet now is what they used to use a crystal ball. You could say that they learned how to use frequency, and that's how they could channel and transmit themselves from a pond, a piece of water, a body of water from one spot to another spot, right? Because all that is frequency. I get all that. High level science or magic, depending on how you want to see it. Point being this: the man sees what he sees, and the Lord stood upon it. Now, does it say he sees the Lord's face? No. So, if one wanted to indicate to themselves that this is the Most High God, I have no pushback for that. If one wanted to say that this is the Christ, I have no pushback for that. They're not one and the same. Right on? They're not one and the same. But if you wanted to contend either one of those, I'll accept it, because the description given, even though I believe it's the Most High telling them, right on? That's what I believe. It could very well have been the Christ speaking to this man. People are like, but the Christ isn't God. But to these people, he is. Right. He's not the Lord God, the Most High Almighty, but he is the Mighty One. I can't stress it to people enough. The Christ is the representation of the Father on the earth. He is not the Father in the flesh. He is his ultimate ambassador. Spokesman, whatever you want to say. Where we at? Nope. He tells them the land that he's lying on, he's going to give it to his children. And his children will be innumerable. Now, the people went through a stage where they were a mighty nation. Innumerable. We've already been there. So we're on the back end of everything. That 400-year odyssey that Abraham saw that his children were going to sojourn through in a strange land. But when they left, they would leave with much loot. Yeah, we're in that part. If you already had a lot of loot, how could you leave with much loot if you already got a bunch? Again, he's not talking to them. Right. Woe to them that are rich, for they have received their consolation here on earth. So they've already been made whole, so to speak. God is not concerned with how they feel at that point. He don't care. No matter. Now, that being said, he says, and what? And behold, I am with thee to preserve thee continually. So that way he's not a liar. And he says, what? I will not desert thee until I have done all that I have said to thee. Meaning I won't leave you. So until everything happens the way it's supposed to, he's not going to leave us like this. Blessed be the Most High God. Blessed be he. Y'all do realize that if Christ got up on a Sunday, he was killed on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They would say he rose on the third day. Sunday makes it fourth, but no, we're going to go through. He got killed on the night, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday are the 3 days that he's dead. They can say he rose on the third day, but blah, blah, blah. We're going to count the actual, because when you count from a 7-day cycle, you don't count the day that you're on, because once you get back to that day that you're on, that's 8 days. Right. Basic math. I know that's hard for some people to understand, but Sunday to Sunday is 8 days. That's not 7 days, because Saturday to Sunday is a 7-day period. Right. If you just count it all the way out. Or Sunday to Saturday. Right. Because you're going to count the Sunday. You're going to count the day you're on. Right. Because, again, if that day doesn't count, then what the hell? You can say he got killed on a Thursday. It doesn't matter. Whatever day you pick, the nigga did not get killed on a Friday and then raise up on a Sunday. Because that's not 3 fucking days. Excuse my language. Now, the Father's blessing. Now, who is more... Oh, reverse, rewind. The Most High God is considered the Father of all of us. The ones who really believe. So if he's truly your Father, the first blessing comes from him. We know that. But a father's blessing, and the A in this one would be Isaac. His blessing is that he gave to him the blessing that he needed, that which was the most important one was the last one. You know what I'm saying? The people who bless you are blessed. The people who curse you are cursed. Right. Right. Those that curse you and bless those that bless you. That's it. Right. Right. So you have to understand that's the most basic blessing. Circumcision is an ordinance, not a blessing. It might help somebody with their health, but the ultimate act of it is not meant to bless you. It's not an undeserved gift. Right. Life itself is an undeserved gift because no one could have done anything to deserve to live. Just no matter what they say. Like you would be illogical in every front and every basic thought to say that you deserve to live. Because what did you do to get yourself here? Nothing. You didn't procreate yourself onto the earth. So no one deserves anything. That being said, the blessing that was given to Jacob is real basic, real simple. Number one, because his brother, now mind you, before the blessing, it gives us the background that his brother has married 2 strange women of the land. Right. His mother doesn't like it. His father doesn't like it. So much so that, again, this is why I believe that he went along with Jacob pretending to be his brother. Because a part of him probably didn't want to bless that man. Right. Now, this is where I try to tell people about free will and how it operates. True free will. You do whatever you like. Esau didn't say you have to divorce those women. It's not what he said. He didn't even allude to that. What happened was Esau perceived, after hearing the fact that his brother was being sent to Mesopotamia to get a wife of their people. Now, I said earlier, these 2 dudes are like princes. Right. This is like 2 princes going at it. And without killing his brother, he done took the throne from him. Jacob did not supplant Esau. Wanna know how I know he didn't? Wanna know how I know he didn't? Because Esau gave away his birthright for a bowl of beans. Right. But that tells you what kind of environment they grew up in. Number one, he grew up in his brother's shadow. It tells us Esau loved Esau because of the venison, of the meats. Right. And Rebekah loved Jacob because he was a simple man. One man who lives outside and tends to the ground or tends to the earth, right? And the other man is a skilled hunter. Mind that fact. He's so skilled, he's able to go out. Now, obviously, the land is bountiful, plentiful. He's able to go out, kill an animal, skin it, gut it, clean it, bring it back, prepare it. All this stuff he did by himself. Right. So these are small little things that people are less aware, or they don't think about as much. They don't even give it any kind of thought. Again, a father's blessing, and no disrespect to the women out there. You can say, well, look, his mother knew the best thing to do. What his mother's plan was, right? Her idea could have got her son killed. She said so herself. Lest I be bereaved of both my sons in one day. Right. So after she realized it was a bad idea, she's not going to back off of her idea. Right? Did she come and tell Esau, oh yeah, I put goat skin on your son or goat hairs on your son so that way you would think it was Esau? No. No. Does Esau question him during this point when he tells him to go out to the land? No. Again, we're talking about two guys. Both of them are twins, paternal twins, so they're not identical. But one has the father's blessing already, his whole life, it seems like. Right. If Esau does not marry those women, guaranteed this plays out differently. Again, this dude's own life. Him marrying those chicks was the same as him giving away his birthright for the bowl of beans. It was the exact same thing. You slight your mother and your father. It's no different than where I live in Washington State. My family's from Mississippi, right? And Alabama, respectively. It would be like me getting with exclusively white women only. Because that's what there's a bunch of them out here. That would be like me doing that. Word? And then my mom or my dad being like, well, I don't really approve of that. I can't stop you. I can't make you be with who I want you to be with, but I don't approve. That's the same shit. So imagine these are black people not approving of other black people for their children. And yet people try to tell you God can't tell you who to love. He told the children of Israel what he thought that they should do. He's never told another nation what they should do. Right. This is not a book meant for Babylonians. This is not a book meant for Egyptians. It's not a book meant for the Greeks, the Etruscans, the Mycenaeans, or any other group you can name. If they are not the children of Israel, if they are not Israelites, right on, if they are not Hebrews more specifically, because he is the God of the Hebrews. If they're not Hebrews, this book has nothing to do with them. Nothing. The ordinances, the rules, it has nothing to do with them. It was never meant for them. Right. Again, a group of heathens force converted billions of people against their will. And you wonder why the Bible has so much pushback. There's so much consternation and trepidation towards the scripture. It's because individuals who were never meant to practice these ways have taken it and they have totally defiled the way of life. More so than the people in this book. And the Israelites in this book ain't shit. It's a fact. I love when niggas love to brag about being a Israelite as if that's like some kind. Bro, do you realize these people betrayed the Most High God? Betrayed him. So much so that people who we think we are right now are in a land that we shouldn't even be in. And again, my point being, this nigga Esau was married to 3 black women. 3. And the first 2, the parents did not approve of. Right. For all intents and purposes, his mother said, I want you to go get you a real sister who know how to cook and clean. Not one of these nasty ass trifling hoes who just know how to throw her ass all over the place. Base level understanding. They think throwing it back is new. Again, these niggas are retarded. We're dealing with people who are mentally ill. Most of the people we deal with are retarded. Straight up. Niggas will read the book and be like, oh, he bamboozled his own daddy. These niggas get bamboozled to this day by complete strangers who they should have zero trust for and be completely on guard and get bamboozled every day. And got the nerve to laugh at a dude who lived thousands of years ago who at least had the good sense to tell his son to come here so he could touch him. And yet people get swindled out of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars every day. Swindled. Back to my point though. A father's blessing is how we even got to this point. If that never happens, Jakub never gets the blessing, guess what? We're not in this situation. But then how would Abraham's seed, I guess Esau would have been the chosen one. Is he not Abraham's seed? Right. Man, we're talking about nuanced differences. But again, he's not the God of the boars. Right on? He's the God of the sheep. Right. He's a shepherd. For all intents and purposes, why do people believe Esau was a white man? They're gonna talk about the Romans and like, what do the Romans have to do with the Bible until like the freaking New Testament, damn near? I mean, you could argue there might be individuals. Once we start getting to people being named different names than the names that you were used to at a certain point, that's when we know that the people have been taken over or have been influenced by another culture. Right. Because a name like Malalil and a name like Isaac are completely different. Right. Yaqub is as different from Isaac as Isaac is from Abraham, as far as, linguistics are concerned. Right. This is the basic. I mean, like, this is for real basic. The first Jonathan I knew about is the brother of David. I mean, Saul's son, Jonathan. Right on. That's the first dude I know. You know what I'm saying? Right. His name is as different from his father's name. Right. Like, again, you can tell when things change with the people. You can tell. You can literally read and like pay attention to what's going on. Almost like the transition from the Bronze Age to the Iron Age. Most people miss it. But it takes place when they're coming from when they're going actually into the promised land. Right on? They get caught up against a group of individuals and they can't advance past them because of Rakab. And when you read the word Rakab, it says chariots of iron. So you can tell when you read certain things where this is at. This is still the Bronze Age for all intents and purposes. We're in the Bronze Age still. But no age goes without stone or wood. That's why I don't like when they say whatever age, because they didn't stop building buildings with stone just because they went into the Iron Age, or we're in whatever age you want to say right now. They still build buildings with bricks. They to this day. Do they have other way that they try to accomplish these means? For sure. But to this day, they still use certain things. So I don't like to get too carried away with that. I do like to point it out though. Now, before we get ready to cut all the way this all the way down, right? Because I don't want to get into this next, because this next one is only 3 or 4 pages. Give me 1 second. Yep. Yep. Yeah, we're gonna hold off for this next one. But I do want to read this part to y'all. Verse 9, no, verse 10 of chapter 33. So we're not that far out. And Jacob said, if I have found grace in thy sight, receive the gifts through my hands. Therefore have I seen thy face, as if anyone should see the face of God. What's up, Brandon? Popping, bro. But this just for context. He had just wrestled with the angel, who I'm calling the Christ. He sees him face to face, does not die. So that's how we know it's the Christ. That was the real Christ, who he's calling God. G-O-D, capital G. Right. You say the Lord God? No, it says God. Now, why that's so important is because, again, people want to believe whatever they want. I'm not mad at them for that. I'm not angry or aggravated. I'm not none of that. What I'm saying is, do not equivalate. Do not make false equivalencies. Because if, again, let's read that so that way people aren't tripping. I'm not putting nothing extra on it, nothing spicy on it. And again, and Jacob said, if I have found grace in thy sight, receive the gifts through my hands. Therefore have I seen thy face, as if anyone should see the face of God. He's comparing his brother's face to seeing God. What does that mean, y'all? Number one, man was made in his image. So I'm not saying that God's face, because whenever the Christ was on the earth, his face didn't change and morph to different faces. But whatever the common phenotype was, whatever the common physical appearance was, right? Whatever that is, that's what he looked like. Understand me. However Esau looked, that's what the Christ looked like. So if Esau is a white man, the guy he wrestled with was a white man. No? No? Okay then. So niggas better get off the bullshit, because you can't have it both ways. It's one thing for a guy to be hairy. I mean, look at me, I'm light brown. If I was any redder, I would be red skinned. For sure, for sure. Like that brown, like that hard brown red that some of us be. I take it as an insult and an offense that we have people who can't see that. Again, I've known dudes who were twins, who were fraternal twins, where one is lighter or a little bit darker. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've known people that were triplets. There was a triplets that I went to school with. Two of them were girls and one of them was a boy. They identical triplets. But the boy didn't have red hair like his sisters did. He had blonde hair. Right. And they were some of the coolest white people I've ever known in my life. I haven't seen them in years. I pray they're doing well. They were some cooler than the other side of the pillow, cooler than a cucumber. They was cool. But either way, though, and the paternal twins that I knew back in elementary, one was taller than the other, was darker. The other one was shorter and was lighter. Right. The first twins I ever knew in my whole life were Kenneth and Kendall in kindergarten. I could never tell them apart, ever. But my boy Micah could tell them apart like damn near day one. He just knew their differences. Does that make sense? Like certain people are perceptive like that. Anyway, the point that I'm making is this. For Esau to be a white man, that means Jacob is a white man. Right. That means that both their parents are white people. That means that, and the question would be then is not who's white, but who's a black person in the book. But that's completely illogical. Because individuals who live in those lands now, who claim to have been there for thousands of years, haven't made any advances. All the advances that they've been blessed from are advances that our people have made here in this land. We have fed the entire earth multiple times over. Cotton helped clothe the earth. Right. Without us being the slaves that we were in this land, nothing would be as it is. No thing. That hot water that you enjoy taking a shower in, yeah, black men helped to make the aqueducts properly righteous in this land and get the plumbing right. Yeah, that electricity that you like, yeah, thank God for black people because Tesla didn't do shit for you. Yeah. Again, we've blessed the entire earth. And most of them have cursed us. Having children with a black woman doesn't do anything for me as a black woman. I mean, as a black man. A black woman can never help my situation, her being a woman and me being a man. She could never change my shit. Right on? Unless we're together and I'm with her, she can never change anything for me. Vice versa. A white woman having 50 babies by all these different niggas doesn't do anything for me. That does not help my situation. That's not a blessing. That's not even preserving the seed. Because preservation is to keep something. So if you have to change it, you didn't preserve it. Right. Right. You don't preserve. You don't say, I preserve jelly just to water it down. I put water in it, so I stretched it. No, you didn't do anything. What you did was water it down. Right. That's not preservation. So if you have to become watered down, you didn't preserve yourself. Understand what I'm saying? It's like breeding yourself back in. If a person has a black granddaddy and they look white now, and they're like, the only way I could have grandchildren or great grandchildren that are black, for sure, is if I go get with a black woman. But do I care about what they're trying to do? No, because that's not a blessing for me. That's not a blessing for you. So all this rampant interbreeding that's been going on, that's not a blessing. That's not. That the lack of sexual discipline and impulse control is not a blessing. If it's not their business who you sleep with, damn sure ain't their business to raise the child. Didn't take a village to make that baby, not gonna take a village to raise it. Sorry. See, I'm here to kill off those kind of thought processes as I speak through the scripture. Because, again, what I eat does not make you defecate. For a fact. It'll never work like that. So the only way that a person could bless you an undeserved gift, right? Again, it's not you. It's not a gift if it's a curse. Understand that. There is no such thing as a blessing that's a curse as well. It does not exist. Tell me one. You were born black, huh? So you were blessed and cursed at the same time. You sound like a bitch ass nigga. No, you're blessed to be alive, first and foremost. And the curses that you're living in, blame your ancestors. You want to be mad at somebody? Get your black ass up, go look in the mirror, and that's you start with that nigga right there. Start with the nigga that you look at every day, and then work your way out. They want to try to tell you these lies, vanities, and nothing of any true profit. I'd rather give you the game than sell you a dream. Did you hear what I just said? I would rather give you the game than to sell you a fucking dream. Period. So the fact that I don't get anything off the ideas that I present to other people who do get paid off them, I'm not talking about my brothers and sisters who I want to see thrive. I'm talking about random schmoes. When I give them the game for free, as opposed to trying to sell them a dream, because they don't need to invest their money into me. I don't need anything from them. These niggas who were in their 40s and 50s, crowdfunding still, they look pathetic. They look pathetic. And they speak all kind of curses on people. They never speak blessings on them. No matter what you do, like again, whether they shovel shit or they split atoms, you should be the very best at what you do to the best of your abilities. Every time. If what you do is completely dependent on someone else's participation, you're not independent. These guys get too big for their own little ass bridges that they be on. They don't realize I'm not a guppy in the ocean and I'm not a shark in a small pond. I'm me. 10 toes down on the land, baby. So I wouldn't know about living in water because I don't live in the water. Goddamn. I live on the land. And I'm just one nig out of 8 billion other so-called living souls. I'm just one. You're just one of the many. Everybody else who's going to listen is going to be just one of the many. Don't let these people lie to you and tell you things that are not real and not true. Again, a father's blessing. You want to know why he was hesitant to bless Esau? Again, look who this dude wants to marry. How can we take over the land if you're going to marry into the same people who we're supposed to take over, dog? How do you think the children of Israel fell off? Because that's what they did. They went down into the land, forced the people to pay tribute, and then once they all got comfortable, they start letting their sons and daughters be with anybody they wanted to be with. Because the power dynamic was on the side of the Israelites, not the Kenites, right on? Not the Hivites, not the Evites, not the Ardukites, okay? Not the Cosmoneans, right? Not the what are they called? The regular Canaanites, the Amorites, you know what I'm saying? Right. The Jebusites, you see what I'm saying? All these different groups. All niggas, by the way. At least nig looking, for sure. Wait, not the people that we're supposed to be bred with to win. Again, you cannot get with the loser and then claim to be a winner. The Canaanites. Question. Do you think that they thought they were cursed? No. Jerusalem was built by who? It said your father was an Amorite and your mother was a Jebusite or something like that. However that goes, right? Still, Canaanites built Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a Canaanite city for all intents and purposes. That is not where the children of Israel do not come from Jerusalem. Right. That city was built by the Canaanites. For all intents and purposes, do you think they thought that they were slaves and servants when they were doing all that? Or was it the fact that they had a servantile mentality that they were able to build the cities that they had? Right. Tell me what the children of Israel built, my niggas. Tell me, what did they build? I'll wait. I'll wait. That's right. Very little to nothing. They went into pre-furnished cities. It's literally written that the cities are already furnished. Right. So they went in and literally enjoyed somebody else's hard work. Why do you think God did what he did to the so-called children of Israel? I'm going to show y'all niggas how that feels. I'm going to show you how it feels. That's why black people are bitter about it to this day. Because if they really understand what they're reading, they're like, bro, we had it made. Now look at us. We look stupid. And the only way we could have gotten here is if the people didn't keep the laws. That's the only way. Unless you're going to say that the Most High God is not real. That's the only other actual way. He doesn't exist, right? See what I'm saying? So either one form you accept the wrongness of the people, or in the other form, you blaspheme the Most High. You have it your way. But what I do know is this right here. For a fact, that when people read this book, they're not connecting those dots are never connected. Ever. Right. Do people not remember Ader the Idumean? Who is a son of Esau, right? He's not directly from his loins, but he comes from Esau's bloodline. Do y'all remember what King David tried to do? Kill the Idumeans to the last fucking man. He tried to wipe them off the face of the earth. This is a brother tribe, y'all. These are the people most related to the children of Israel. Most related. And tried to wipe them off the face of the earth. Right. And you, for all intents and purposes, why do you think a guy like Esau's children would continue to live by the sword, knowing that their truest brother tribe tried to wipe their asses out? Why would you ever stop living by the sword? If somebody tried to kill you, would you ever let them try to kill you again? Fuck no. Right. So for all intents and purposes, again, do I find it right that the Edomites hate us? No. Do I understand? Completely. Completely understood. I don't agree with it. I don't agree, but I understand. I more than get it. That being said, though, Esau did that to himself. Slighted his birthright for a bowl of beans, and then decided that the women of the land were better than him going to go get a woman from his own tribe. Again, these are people who they are from regal bloodlines. They're from royal bloodlines. You're not reading about a regular plebe, y'all. Again, Esau is a prince. Yaqub is a prince. Bethuel, right, for all intents and purposes, right, was a king to his own in his own right. Exactly. Nachor, his father before him, right, a king in his own right. Where Nakor might not be Syrian, he's the father of the Syrians because he's the father of the man who fathered that group. Right. Again, Abraham was a triplet. Real quick. Yes, he was. A beautiful detail that Brother Andre Wickham pointed out after we had Anyway, the idea of Sem, Ham, and Japheth being triplets is something that I've been believing for pretty much a decade now, and I can pretty much prove it. I don't think there's much they can do to say that I can't prove it. I'm pretty sure I can prove it. I don't think that's the issue, though. I think the issue is it hurts people's understanding. But back to the point that I'm making. If Esau chooses a wife that's from the regal royal bloodline of his mother's people, doesn't have to worry about that. Again, this is the happening that led to where we're at. Not this was meant to be. I hate when people say you have your fate is already sealed. No. Your decisions are not already made. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. Because that's pretty much saying that you didn't have free will. Yes, you did. A slave has free will. Otherwise, how could you run away off of a plantation? Again, the niggas are retarded. Freedom and free will are not the same. Stop conflating. I'm not saying anybody's saying that, but I'm just letting it be known. Do not conflate the two things. They are not the fucking same. And yet, we live in a time where people, that's all they do is conflate information. All they do is make false equivalencies. That's all they do. Let me say this. A father blessing his children is the greatest thing for many of them. It's the ultimate form of validation. So when Jacob was afraid to be cursed by his father, and when his mother said, "Let your curse fall on me," right? Pretty much like, let's see if your father holds that same tone with me. Now, once I'm thinking again, Isaac realized what was going on. He was not angry. I've been doing my thing, y'all, for a little second. I got to get ready to get off because I got people calling me because I got stuff I got to do. But look, Esau played himself. He didn't put a quarter on his back, but somebody wound his ass up for sure. He played himself. Now, is it because he's a black boar that he played himself? I would assume so. That the darkness within him didn't allow for him to realize what he was doing was wrong. Just because you can interbreed with a Chinese woman doesn't mean you should go interbreeding with one. Not to say that you can't be with a Chinese woman. Not to say that you don't love that Chinese woman. Right on? But you cannot say that the child that comes from that is exactly the same as all the other people who were just full-blown Chinese. That's not fair. It's not. On any level. If you love what you love and you love it, that's fine. But you cannot try to tell people who are in a situation, again, where God is saying preservation, right? To preserve the seed. How you cannot preserve something that's been totally altered. Now, again, if you're trying to get back to a place where you feel like you should be at, that's fine. But you cannot tell me that, for example, that Rebekah and Esau are the same creatures. They can't be. Because if they were, they would have had more bulls. So, right. Again, Am I knocking dudes? Am I poo-pooing dudes who, again, you cannot make something what it's not to be that. You can't. It cannot be done. If a wolf and a dingo have a baby, that's not a wolf or a dingo. Right. It's a hybrid. So when you have people who don't even understand that a percentage of the so-called Arabs and all them type of dudes over there have Afro blood in them, there's a massive percentage. So right, so they'll have the curly bushy hair. And what do they look like? A mixed person. So we can already deduce how those dudes got like that. It doesn't take a lot of math. The natural understanding is that. So my question for you is this, is that if Esau's a black boar, goes on to have children with whatever other animals spiritually there are, if they don't continue on being boars, they become something else. So once it's no longer a boar, it's no longer Esau. Once it's no longer a sheep, it's no longer Jacob. Are y'all following me on that? You cannot change something from one thing to another. It can't be done. Like, I will wait. The water to wine concept is the closest thing that I can give you. And you can say it was just grape juice or non-alcoholic wine. I don't give a damn. That transmutation, that alchemical process that took place, regular people cannot do that. They're trying to this day to take out what they call faulty genetics when the baby's a fetus. They're trying to figure out how to get rid of autism. It can't be done. It cannot be done. Because you would have to be able to change someone's molecular structure to do something like that. Anybody with a half decent mind, half operating mind knows that. That's not even a question. Give me one moment. I gotta plug this laptop in. All right, there we go. Okay. I hate when stuff doesn't work. Give me one moment, y'all. Laptop acting like it don't want to. Shit acting like it don't want to charge. What the hell, man? If it's not one thing, it's another. I'm gonna ride it out for another couple of minutes, and then I'm gonna call it a day till I figure out why my shit's not charging. Well, again, if it's not one thing, it is truly another. However, that being said, that much being put forth, I just can't help but to think that that we're in a time where people just don't get how important it is for you to maintain yours. What do you think? Do you think that Isaac would have been lax on his investigation if Jacob himself was married to a woman of the land? Or do you think when he had heard him speaking and sounding like Jacob, he would have called a servant and had that servant to identify? Right. The same servant who reported what they reported to Rebekah when Esau said in his mind that he was going to kill his brother. Right. Do you think it plays out the exact same? Probably not. But he's a white sheep, so there's purity in this man. That's what the whiteness means. It's pure. If there ever were white people, the ones that they call black people are it. Like if we're talking about just purity, there's nobody more pure on the earth than our people. we've been through the most and still practice a level of amicability that any reasonable person who's been through what we've been through wouldn't even think about. Right. Right. Language stripped from us, culture stripped from us, way of life stripped from us, everything that we should know about ourselves stripped from us. And everything that we know about ourselves, that we do know about ourselves, was imprinted and implanted onto us. Not our true history. As if black people just started, as if Afro people started existing when they came to America. Wow, I mean, the shit is incredible. Before I get ready to go, I say this to you. These next few lessons are going to be harsh to hear because I'm going to get real in it about this. And I don't have anything to do this next day or so. So I'll probably just do a two-parter tomorrow. The Sojourner and and then speak on the face of God. Because it's really important that people understand that Jacob compared Esau to seeing his brother to seeing the face of God. Someone who he had just wrestled with. And if people are saying that Esau is the white man and God is white, it closes, I mean, pink skin, whatever you want to say. That's what God looks like then, huh? Or they're going to have to fix their words. And that makes them liars. At best, liars. I salute you. I salute you again. I salute you once more. The question I have for y'all is that if, and only if, Esau was given the blessing and Jacob wasn't, will we be in this position? And even greater. Would he be disjointed, full of hate to this day, had he been blessed? Or would they have just wiped us off the face of the earth altogether? A father's blessing is an important thing to have, y'all. Don't ever forget it. May tomorrow be better than today. And may your next week, in every single way, shape, form possible, in the most positive, constructive ways, surpass your last. I love y'all, and I'll get up with you soon. Peace.